Welcome to the Invernadero Mind Podcast. I am your host, Gabriela, and I'm so happy that you're here. Invernadero is Spanish for greenhouse. It represents light, life, and a home for bright minds. In this podcast, I discuss hot present topics in today's culture, and our guests share their successes, challenges, and their journey in finding balance between chasing their dreams while protecting their mind and spirit in this fast-paced culture. In this inclusive podcast, we talk to everyone. Stay tuned and let's get the conversation started. Shayla Redmond is an aerospace engineer who has a passion for science, art, and space. She earned a degree in Aerospace Engineering and Physics from Tuskegee University and a Master's of Science degree in Systems Engineering with a concentration in space systems from the Air Force Institute of Technology. She tells us how, even after gaining experience and earning her place at the Air Force, she still wanted to pursue her passion for science and space. She joined the Project Polar Suborbital Science in the Upper Mesosphere, in other words, PoSSUM, where she is a citizen scientist who works on research and suborbital training. Shayla is also a mechanical engineer at Mercer Research Center in Georgia, where she works with aerospace contracts in support of sustainment and innovation. She is also a PoSSUM 13 ambassador, a program created to incentivize young women to research, train, and potentially earn a pass to experience microgravity. Sounds pretty cool, right? What I love about Shayla is that she is also committed to supporting education and finding ways to teach young students science through her passion for art. She created STEAM Unlimited to teach people science through art. As an aspiring astronaut, she plans on continuing her work on researching and testing field of the upper atmosphere and beyond. I love her charisma, and I think you will too. Let's welcome Shayla Redmond. Good morning, Shayla. Thank you so much for agreeing to do the interview.
Good morning. No problem. I love doing stuff like this. So
let's start from the beginning. Tell us about how did your STEM journey begin?
Well, I think I've always, I've said before in other interviews, I've always been an explorer. I think when I was younger, I loved dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs. And I wanted to be an archaeologist at the time when I was learning about, well, how do I find more dinosaur bones? So that happened. And then I've always wanted to be a teacher. Like that has existed with me since I was in kindergarten. So teacher, but archaeologist. And then I got a little older and I was like, well, I love the stars and I love looking at the stars. I love learning about the stars. So I wanted to be an astronomer because I wanted to know more about the stars. As I got to high school and, towards your junior year, they try to help you say, okay, what are you going to major in? What you want to do with your life? And I went to a magnet school, Davidson Fine Arts School. So for high school, so it was big in the arts. So I still had that aspect. And of course, kind of goes into why I like art with science. But so I danced, I sang, I played the viola. And I still love science. So I was like, well, I want to explore. I'm an explorer. Mm-hmm. I love to learn about new people, new things, new cultures. I'm a forever student, if you like, in the school of life. So I was like, well, I want to be an explorer. So I love stars. So an astronomer. But I'm like, okay, I do love the aspect of astronomy, but I think it was more of a hobby. So I have my own telescope, and that's something that I don't want it to be deadlines or things that are due every time. I want it to still be something fun. I looked at marine biology, but the deep blue and learning about some of the other stuff that goes with it, I was like, oh, I'll leave that to the people that love to swim like that. So then, of course, I looked out into space and I was like, well, there's a lot of stuff to explore out there. And I don't think it could get oversaturated with people trying to explore that. So I was like, oh, I'll be an astronaut. And that's kind of like how my mind worked. to get to that level. And I decided senior year senior year in high school that I'm gonna be an astronaut. So I went to look and say, okay, how do I become an astronaut? You need some type of technical degree, engineering degree. And I've already was very good in science. I was very good in math. I enjoyed it because once again, it's a mystery, still trying to figure it out. Went to Tuskegee University, and I decided I was going to major in aerospace engineering. And I did they had a summer fast track program where you kind of get credits early, and it was for engineers. So I did that program, and from day one, I was like, I'm being an astronaut. I want to be an astronaut. I'm going to do this so I can be an astronaut because I want to explore and discover the universe and all that. So that's kind of how I got there.
So you just decided and made it happen. When you told this to your family, what did they say to you?
Well, so first I will say this is funny. My mom and dad know that I'm very creative. I'm very imaginative. And of course, kind of going back a little bit, teaching, because I still incorporate that a part of my life. I teach mainly like elementary school kids. So in saying all that, I'm very like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. My parents like, oh, that's great. You know, and they know that I'm very ambitious. So I will say my dad was like that. He was excited. My mom was more, well, you got to be safe. And I want you to make sure you don't hurt yourself, and they got to test things. And I was like, yes, mom, they are definitely gonna, do that. And as technology advances, we get better and better. For safety is number one in everything that I've ever done. So they were, I will say, average, like generally happy for me.
Super cool. Now, how did you choose your university? Did you have to do a lot of research? Was it recommended to you?
So I from what I recall, I think I did a college tour, and it was an HBCU college tour, so historically Black college university college tour. I remember the distinct memory I had was on the bus. I was in high school, on the bus in Tuskegee. And I'm looking at the university and I'm like, oh, it's a nice school. And then I'm looking at the city and I'm like, oh, it's the country.
Yeah.
I want to be in the country. So I was like, nope. Instantly, I was like, no, I'm not going to this school. But I knew, like I said, I already decided what I wanted to do. So I looked at Georgia Tech. I looked at MIT. I looked at a lot of the prestigious, Purdue. Where do astronauts go? Where do astronauts come from? I looked at a lot of those universities, and I applied for Georgia Tech. And kind of caveat here, a lot of times I know people don't express their failures, but it's okay. We fail, and sometimes it re-guides us our path on what we're going to do. So I didn't get into Georgia Tech. And I was like, oh man, but I also applied to Tuskegee because as I learned more about it, the history and the culture of it, it resonated with me. And I wanted to be a part of kind of my lineage, my culture, like who I am. Again, I'm a Black woman. So I learned a little bit more about Tuskegee. So I love the history, the rich culture. They built their own bricks, they're any type of, so how I look at that is any adversity, nothing can stand in their way. They're going to get to the next level. So that foundation of that. And then they also had an engineering program. So that is kind of how I came to go to Tuskegee. Yes, partly because I didn't get accepted into Georgia Tech. And even at one point, there was an opportunity where I could transfer after I did a year at Tuskegee. But I was like, I thought about it because I was like, oh, that's what I wanted. But I was like, no, I'm here. And I stayed at Tuskegee. And I'm very happy with that choice. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yes, not a lot of people talk about their failures, right? You just highlight all the good things that you did, but it's also good to highlight all the failures because through that, I think we can learn more about your character and the things that you did to overcome. So tell us a little bit about your college experience. Was your, education journey smooth? Did you face any type of adversity and how did you overcome this?
So let's see, kind of the end, I did 5 years at Tuskegee because I double majored. That was I would say by accident, but so I went into Tuskegee saying, hey, I want to be an aerospace engineer. So I started my general courses. Of course, they have orientation, the general course you have to take as a freshman. And as I was going to doing my core courses as an aerospace engineer and then my electives, there's always like, oh, you could also get, a physics dual degree with just a couple more electives because of the electives I chose as an aerospace engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I like physics, so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And actually, it's once again kind of like, I didn't know if I wanted to do that to myself because, credits and more school.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was an extra year for me versus the 4 year of graduating. But, I was like, it was the best choice I ever made. Again, because I took the extra elective. I think my senior, so like for aerospace, I had a senior design
Mm-hmm.
course for my before I graduated, and then for physics, I had it was another form of a senior design / research course, and I also had to take laser theory, and I also
Oh,
had to take quantum mechanics. So my introduction into theoretical physics and Newton's law and E equals MC squared and and Schrodinger's cat, all that stuff was quite interesting to me, and I enjoyed it. So it was rough at times because I had so many credits because I was trying to finish
yeah.
at a certain time. So I remember one time at the end of the school year, they look at your credits and then you have to do your credits for next year. I'm like running around between the gym and because our engineering department was like connected to our gym at
Mm-hmm.
Tuskegee. So I was running back and forth to the gym, talking to the administrative person for the engineering department, going back to our dean, trying to figure out how I'm going to graduate with all these credits and not lose my mind. But I will say I had a really good support system at
Yeah.
Tuskegee. And so there were stressful moments. I double majored and I was in ROTC. So I had that, and I was a part of SWE and other organizations, so a Society of Women Engineers. So I was doing a lot. So
Wow.
it was a challenge, but I managed it and I was able to come out on top. I did very well. I graduated with honors. And it's the next step to the goal that I'm trying to pursue. So, like I said, the way I overcame. I had a great support system,
Mm-hmm.
and there are aha moments where you have to focus. Sometimes you're going to have like, oh crap, I want to say I failed an engineering differential equation. I did. I didn't fail. I got a D, but it's a failure. In my household, that was a failure. I got a D.
Yeah.
Take that class again. So, oh my gosh, the math tutor, the math person failed a differential equation class. Yeah, I did. I failed the class, or I got a D in the class. And I don't know if it was just too many classes. I don't know if it was I just didn't pay attention or didn't grasp the concept like I normally do. And that kind of was a hit on me and how I look at myself. Cause I'm like, I don't fail math. I don't do bad at math. I never do bad at math, but I'll tell you again, I took the class again. I did. Obviously I made an A. The grade itself doesn't matter, but I actually came out with understanding the concept even better. And then I could help other people. And that also has kind of placed me in a way, to where I am now to help others and the opportunities that I've had. So failures aren't bad as long as you don't stop.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually double major. I went to school for business, and I double majored in finance and international business. And this is not science. This is,
Numbers.
economics, yeah. But I did fail a couple classes in my finance courses, and I gotta say at first I was disappointed, but then I was like, you know what, taking this class again, I learned so much more. And I guess, you can also teach other people that are sitting there right next to you, you can already tell them what, to expect from the class, and also yourself, you can even like learning, taking a class with a different professor, I think also helps you understand better certain things, because not everybody learns, right away the first time.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So while in college, did you take or did you do any internships, or you basically just focused on graduating?
So I want to say during the summer, during school, I didn't do any internships, which if I could go back, I would recommend doing internships. The first thing, you go freshman year, go find where you can do internships and when you can do them. That is something that I wish I would have done or wish I would have known about. But I just focused on school. During the summer, I volunteered at a place called Fort Discovery. So I would go home and to where my dad finished work and retired and stuff is Augusta, Georgia. I went there and I volunteered at Fort Discovery, and I just did science demonstrations, and that kind of kept like, again, the teacher aspect of who I am and what I love to do of it. So I did that, and I just focused on school. There's times I took summer courses. I took a C++ course, anything to help me graduate when I needed to graduate.
Yeah. So when you graduated, what was the first thing you did? Did you immediately start looking for a job, or you kind of took your time to explore your options?
When I graduated, I actually commissioned into the Air Force. So I am an officer in the Air Force, but not active duty anymore. At the time, I commissioned as an officer in the Air Force, and that's what I did. I did my general Air Force duty. And so that is kind of where the break in the engineering part happened. And I did that for 7 years in the Air Force, active duty.
What was that like for you? Because it's a long period. What kinds of things did you have to do?
So really it's just managing people, managing, whatever mission set is. It's very generic. Just think of office work. And if you manage people, you manage product, and you have to make sure that whatever task that you have to do is completed. Like, that's the basics of it. So the really challenge of that for me is because I wasn't doing engineering. And that, I set up to say, hey, I want to be an astronaut. I have to do engineering. But I at one point I was like, oh, I'm going to be an astronaut through the military. But now I kind of switched gears, and I was like, and after 7 years, I was like, oh, that's not working anymore, because I'm not doing engineering. Because it's, like I said, the generic, managing people, completing the mission. And that's basically my day to day. Though the job was very rewarding as an active duty, I still had a passion. So that's why I had to switch gears, because there was no, the engineering aspect of it. And actually I was trying to be an engineer in the Air Force, but it just didn't work out. So of course I became a civilian, and I am now an engineer. So I'm on my way. I'm working.
Yes.
No, so now my day to day now, I'm actually in there working on projects that can, propel me to learn. Like I said, I always want to learn. So my day to day, looking at reading a lot of technical papers, and that's a part of engineering, understanding the terminology that's used and how we are going to contribute that to space. So that is what I am focused on now.
So tell our audience, how did you, so when you realized that, your work, what you were doing at the Air Force was no longer, I guess, educational for you or challenging what you really wanted to do. When you became a civilian, what was that like for you? Did you have to kind of apply to different jobs? Was it a smooth transition into, finding your next job? What was that like?
So it was a challenge, in the sense of, I'll say, the military sets you up very well to help facilitate you, but you have to do the work. Me trying to be an engineer and not doing engineering specifically for 7 years. Now, mind you, within the 7 years, I got my master's, so that's good. I was able to get a master's in systems engineering with a concentration in space systems. So that kind of helped my resume, I'll say. I also, of course, kind of caveating here, Project PoSSUM. So there was a point where I figured out, like, okay, I need to do something different. Because of that, I made sure I did things that would help me get to the next level as I was transitioning out of the military. So as far as looking for engineering, I just applied to engineering jobs. I got help with my resume, because that's the first thing. They filter you through your resume, which, in my opinion, I think there needs to be an updated system on how to find people. I get filtering people through resume, and then the interview, and then maybe there's 2 interviews, because I think one job I applied for had a resume, then had an interview, Then I had a second follow-up interview. Then the third interview was if we possibly wanted you and we, negotiate salary and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was 3 interviews and until they, get to meet me and see who I am. And I know a lot of times people meet people's representative. And one thing I do try to portray or present is my genuine 100% self, not my representative. So, and it's such, cause sometimes like, I don't know you. It's like, oh, like, how do I don't want to just say the right thing so you hire me. I'm like, no, I want to present who I am. And that is a challenge. And you're tempted to people, and some people I've talked to is tempted to say, I really need this job and I really want this experience. So I'm going to, get in at least. And then, be who I am. But I don't want to do that. And I think a lot of times with that as well, that made it a little challenge, but I'm okay with that. I wouldn't like if I wasn't myself getting into a job. So
that's super important. So where do you work now?
Yeah, so I work at it's called Mercer Research Center, and I do engineering. We do a lot of different contracts, and we do a lot of different projects. And I don't want to say it's your generic, your general engineering company. Like it's not as big as Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, but it's not necessarily a small business either. And it's attached to the University of Mercer. Cool. That's in Macon. So it's the good thing about that is, which actually, of course, I get my little teaching. Well, I'm not teaching there, but I kind of like, I'm looking for opportunities to incorporate my love and passion for teaching. So I work at the engineering research part of the university. There we go. That's the best way to put it. And we just do a lot of different projects to help develop different different sciences, more so for aerospace. One thing that I thought was really awesome, because we have a lot of equipment and awesome things at Merck, that's the shorthand version, where we did during the COVID or the pandemic, they were able to 3D print a lot of PPE. So was one thing. Protective equipment for. Oh, okay. Personal protective equipment for the pandemic for a lot of the health workers. And I thought that was really awesome. So I guess my journey is always, there's something I heard. I don't know what culture does this, but before you can buy from their store or before you can have business with them, they need to know you as a person. Like, I don't just want, I'm kind of gonna have a point here, but I don't want your business. I don't want to work with you just so I can get a paycheck or just so I can get, a service done. I want to know you as a genuine person. I want to know, I want you to have some type of, character about yourself. So like when I chose Tuskegee because of the how it made me feel, it resonated with me, the foundation of it, the ancestry, the power that it carried, not just for the engineering degree. I work at Merck, the people there, they care about the community. It's a university, so they care about the students. You want to make sure that you are working with an organization that cares about people. And I know, talking to young people, whether they're college students, high school students, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, there are temptations to lose your character. Don't ever lose your character. And sometimes you're going to have to say no to things if it doesn't sit right with you. Your moral compass will guide you. And I believe that is how we all should live. We all should have our moral compass and make decisions on not, a definition of who we are as a person. So
Awesome. So in your field, what are a few, 3 top skills that you should definitely have to have the type of job that you have?
Yes. So math, every time I've seen interviews and again, you gotta know the math. You have to know math because math is the building block foundationally. I know when I've tutored in math before, there's this one story I tell everybody. My dad used to tutor. Well, he kind of still tutors, but he would tutor adults. And actually my tutoring business, I guess I don't do it anymore, but I specialize in tutoring adults. The one adult that I took on, I was a college student. So that's why I say adult. I was separated, I wasn't an adult yet, but yeah. He was a professional. He worked at a company. A lot of companies, you get a promotion if you take a course. So he decided to take this course in calculus.
Mm.
And long story short, he didn't know trig. So I was helping him do his calculus course, a college student, but I was good at math. So I was helping him do this, but I had to go back to the trig because he didn't know, the sine, cosine, the derivation of sine and cosine, and then the integrals. I had to go back to a foundation of what you need to know for calculus. Mm-hmm. So in saying all that, you have to know math. You got to know the basics and you have to build on it. And if you need help, ask for help. Always ask for help. I would say when you start getting into the specifics of engineering, there's a lot of technical courses like strength of materials. That is something I want to say, like the new age stuff is like 3D printing, computer science, or software. I feel like if you know a little bit, even as an engineer, that helps propel you in this new day and age. Now, did I need to know that? Not necessarily. I kind of stuck to the technical math and then your engineering courses, your aerospace courses. But I think now really make sure you're doing that computer software. Know a little bit of coding. I had to take a C++ course, but it was that's very basic. Obviously, I encourage people to look at JavaScript. Just know a little bit about it. You don't have to know a lot. Definitely focus on the math. I want to say, and then kind of see what's out there. There's so many new things that I'm still learning about that's out there, that's changing. Research, ask questions. One thing now in my adult years, I'm actually asking for mentors now, which is something I didn't do before. Always ask for mentors, ask for help. Hey, you do this. Can I shadow you? Can I, aside from the internship, what do you do so that I can figure out what I need to do to get to where I want to go, whether it's what you do or something else.
That's really great advice. Definitely asking for help. I feel like people sometimes are afraid to ask for help, or like I was telling you, to ask for feedback, but it's always good. It definitely helps you grow and gain perspective. And, there are so many things that you can learn from people just by, shadowing and seeing what they're doing. Now, while researching and reading your biography, I read a term that I find interesting and I couldn't really, understand it, Can you explain what exactly means to be a citizen scientist?
Yes, I love citizen science. So I actually discovered citizen scientists, I guess, in 2017. I've heard of it before. And so citizen science is the community, yours, either a small community, the whole world, anybody that takes on a form of research and collaborates or submits their data to whatever the science or research that they're trying to discover. So, for example, there's one citizen science. There's one very simple one. It's an app. I looked it up really quickly one time. It's volcanoes. So people that live near volcanoes, they can on their app, say that they see something or, and then, all around the world, and it's connected to, all around the world. And you can, somebody like for me, I can look and say, oh, a volcano became active in this area, a volcano became active in this area. Scientists can take that data and correlate it to something to predict, whatever they need to predict to decide on what actions need to be taken. So that's like a very small idea of citizen science. Another one that was really interesting, Bennu. Do we know about the asteroid Bennu a little bit? So I'll expand on that. So not going into too much detail. It's an asteroid that is, I do encourage you to go look this up because there's always information about it. So that's in the realm of what we know as far as our solar system and the planet Earth. So they studied it. They're studying the asteroid itself. So what they did was they have all these pictures from a satellite that is going around the asteroid, and there's so much information and so much data. There's no way that 2-3 scientists, I'm sure they have more, but I'm, generic for now, that can look at all that data and identify a crater, identify a rock. So what they did is they sent it out to the community, say, hey, community, the world, can you look at these pictures and, look at so many pictures, whatever picture you look at, identify a crater, identify, a volcano. And this is how you can identify it. So people from around the world, in the United States, everywhere that had this app participated
Mm-hmm.
And they submitted the information to the organization, and then they were able to look at that data, and it saved time. People felt involved in a part of the community. So that is citizen science. Kind of going into what I do for citizen science, how I discovered it, I'll say the Project PoSSUM. PoSSUM stands for Polar Suborbital Science in the Upper Mesosphere. It's a long word, I know. So long story short, that basically the point is we're doing like astronautical training to possibly get a suborbital airplane or a suborbital type of a carrier to carry people to go up to possibly where, let's say, like say 10 football fields up, to gather these type of clouds called noctilucent clouds. Look it up. This will, I had to learn myself back in 2017. Never heard of it before. To really understand what they are. And astronauts study this from the International Space Station. They see it and they study it from their perspective. And then also people take pictures of it. You can see it more so in the northern, the Alaskan area. If you're looking to really capture them. So that the goal will be to go up, capture some of the samples, and then study that on the ground. So the citizen science part is the people that are partaking in the astronautical training. So we do spacesuit testing because of that, because you're going to have to wear a spacesuit that high up. And we're all citizens. We pay for so now we're going to be able to get some sort of a certificate or qualification for the course. So yes. So it's the people, the community taking part in something, in type of research. And we're all working together to understand the world around us better.
I'm so glad that you talked about Project PoSSUM, because I was reading about it and I thought that was super interesting. Who can participate and, who can be part of this project?
So there are two different paths, I'll say, to participate. You're a working professional, so you've already graduated from college. Whether it's your bachelor's, that's fine. But you just graduated with some form of your working professional. So anybody can participate in that manner. And then the second one, they do have a college section. I want to say if you're a junior or senior, or they have courses. I know at Embry-Riddle they have that, where if you're in the college timeline of your life, you can participate in that manner. You would just sign up. But at this time, I believe it's only at Embry-Riddle. I do know that there are works that are trying to put it in more places than just that school. And definitely look it up. Things always change, sometimes faster than I can keep up with. So that may very well be different now. But I do know for a fact that are the two actual ways to participate in the organization. So.
Now, I read that there is Project PoSSUM, and then I read Project PoSSUM 13. Is there a difference?
Oh, so PoSSUM 13, yes. So that is actually an organization in honor of the Mercury 13, the women that did the same training as the astronauts at the time, because it was not a NASA organization. The Mercury 13 was not a NASA organization, but it was an organization funded to see if women could do the same thing men can do as far as the training to go into space. That's what Mercury. So PoSSUM 13 was kind of in honoring the women that kind of paved the way to say, hey, yeah, we actually are not weird. We can do stuff too. So PoSSUM 13 is an organization that the mission is to get young girls. Boys and girls can participate in it's a competition, and what I've done before, you go to Canada and we get on a Falcon 20. We do I think the one I've done was 20 oscillations, and you experience microgravity, or we call it microgravity, but the actual term is near free fall. And so near free fall, you go up and you're like, oh, it's free fall. So you have, you feel like you're lighter than air. So, but microgravity, and the ISS actually is in constant near free fall. But I guess if we said that, people would be like, that doesn't sound as cool.
Yeah.
It's like constant near free fall versus
oh my God.
So it's microgravity, a competition where you can take up experiments and to see how things are affected in microgravity, similar to kind of simulate, okay, what would happen if it was on the ISS or in space or any type of in space in general. So what I want to say, any high school, so that is another way. I'm glad you asked that. See, you're helping me out. Remember things. that is how high school students can participate in Project PoSSUM. We have it every year. Unfortunately, of course, we all know that COVID.
Yes, unfortunately, that's something that ruined it for everybody.
Yeah. So we were supposed to do the microgravity campaign. We could not do it this year. We definitely want to take safety precautions. That, once again, like I said, safety is the utmost importance for everything, especially things that I do and the organizations that I'm a part of. So we hope to be able to do it next year, but we are going to still run the competition like we do every year. I want to tell people, look out for information, and I'll share with you as well, so you can share with your community.
Yes.
Around February or March, I want to say we're going to probably start pinging people to say, hey, it's a competition coming up. The lead has to be female, but boys and girls, everybody can participate. We just want to kind of put the young ladies at the forefront. And they just have to be the lead. Everybody can speak, and basically they introduce themselves. They pick whatever topic that they want to see what happens in microgravity. And then they have to show us, go through the engineering process. And it's global. And it's global. Yeah, anybody can participate. Now, I want to say it's global, but there are certain the countries that we participate with, and it's constantly growing. But there's always permissions. We have to go through different red tape and stuff. So on the website, it has the all that information. So anybody can participate with go to the website. It'll show you more information of that. I know we've had I think last year we had someone from. Oh, no, now I'm going to forget. Colombia, I want to say.
Oh, really? So what happens when you win, like after this, the whole competition?
The winning team picks one person to come, minus COVID. Let's say COVID doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The winning team picks one person to go to Canada, travel with us, or, they travel there and we all meet there to be able to fly on the Falcon 20 and experience the microgravity with their experiment.
That super cool.
And of course the team is still recognized. The team won. So that, they all get recognition, they, possible publications, possible research, the whole team is there, but you pick who you would like to see to go. That team decides.
They must be so excited. I mean, I can only imagine this person. You said that somebody won from the person was from Colombia.
I want to say double check that because in general, it's international. So the winning team, doesn't matter where they are, we let them come. And then Spanish, French, we have people that speak Spanish, we have people that speak French. So when they submit I know when I was reading through the competition, when people submit their abstract for their competition, if it's in French, someone will translate it. So that way, someone like me who doesn't know Spanish, I'm trying to learn Spanish. Look, I'm working on it. But someone, even French, that I can read it and then still give them a good grade. So even me saying that in international, a lot of locations do not have the same or quality education systems. Mm-hmm. There was one in particular, I don't remember where it was. I know that the education system wasn't the best. So that is, we're learning and doing things to put stuff in place so that across the board, everybody has the same opportunity. And so people that don't know the engineering process, or maybe that's not something they discuss in school at the time that we present the competition, we are providing that information like on our website so they can go there and have the kind of be a level playing field. We want it to be, education should be for everybody. It should not be dependent on how much money you have, depending on what resources and access you have to education. So that is the goal, for, Project PoSSUM, definitely Project PoSSUM. That is the goal for, things that I do and things that I'm trying to set up.
Super exciting. And I love that you say that everybody can participate, not just, girls, but also boys. Because I feel like you were saying, we were talking before this interview, it's important to show positivity and inclusivity in a way that, it's fun for everybody. And we show young people that it doesn't have to be just one group. we can include everybody from all backgrounds.
Yes.
I love it. Now, switching a little bit the topic to representation, being a woman in your field is something exciting to see in general, because, representation matters. Now, in your specific experience, do you consider your field is a male-dominated field, or have you seen changes happening?
So I will say, just in my building, yes, it's mainly males. Yep, it's still male dominated when we're working our way, up there. Yeah, it's male dominated. I do see strides to have more inclusivity for different people, different backgrounds, but it's still male dominated.
We were talking about microaggressions as well. During your years in college and, post college, and now you're working, have you ever experienced any type of microaggressions?
Yes. You know what? It's so funny because I do try to focus on being positive. So even when I experience certain things, I'm like, how do I react? Will it make a difference if I let them know or react a certain way to let them know that I didn't like what they did, or that they are doing something they may not even know that they're doing, because, subconsciously unconscious biases happen and microaggressions happen because of unconscious bias as well as other factors. So I don't even remember some of the microaggressions. I have this one situation where I'll be very generic because, different people have, I'm over it, I'll say.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for me to be a part of this program that would have helped me, I believe, be more involved in the space community. The leadership at the time, I was pregnant. I think I got pregnant. No, I think I was pregnant with my second daughter. And long story short, basically, because not to say, because you're pregnant, you can't do this, but you're pregnant and you can't participate in some things because you're pregnant. So yes, there's some obviously activities that I can't participate when I'm pregnant. But the words were, because you decided to get pregnant now, it's gonna, I can't, evaluate you on certain things. So I'm being, very generic, but in the sense of, he could have still, my point is, he could have still evaluated me on what I have done, because I still work hard. I make sure I put my best foot forward. I show up to work. I go above and beyond to make sure things are where they need to be. And the concept of, okay, I'm pregnant, I still have the work that I do, that I actually do, is top notch. But because I can't do this particular, go on this particular event, that was why a package didn't go through. So, because he could have graded me on anything. The package was a recommendation letter, and all he had to do was write we worked together to say, okay, the recommendation letter, and he finalizes the recommendation letter. But he was like, I don't want to do this because you can't do this event, even though you've done great over here. So I can't evaluate you on your work ethic, basically.
Oh,
when
wow.
he very well could evaluate me on my work ethic. That's what I'm trying to say. He could have very well evaluated me on my work ethic, but decided not to. So in my mind, I took that as like a microaggression, like, oh, you decided to get pregnant. Well, yes, of course. I want to have family. I want to have a big family, and I want to go to space. I mean, I don't see why I can't do both. So with that, at that moment, even my friends are like, why did you say something when you could have said something? Or even like, hey, what are you saying? And called him out or reported. I was like, you know what? I didn't. And I'm actually, there was a point where, man, I should have, but I'm actually glad I didn't. So there's some things where it's okay to just be like, nope, I'm going to keep moving. That wasn't so egregious where I'm just like, oh, I'm going to just take him down. Right. But I was like, okay, but I note and I remember, okay, next time if I ever come across something like that, I will handle it differently. And plus I was young. You learn stuff as you go. As far as college, I will say it's the HBCU, which anybody could go to an HBCU, white people, black people, Asian people, everybody can go to an HBCU, but it was just predominantly Black people that I interacted with at the HBCU, just because that's who went there. So I will say it's a different feeling because you all kind of have similar life experience, like all of you. Everybody on campus have similar life experiences. and with different, different ones, of course, depending on where you're from. But the normal day-to-day relationship issues, normal day-to-day school issues, trying to wake up for that class at 8 o'clock in the morning that I probably shouldn't have taken, So I will say I didn't really experience it. And if I did, don't remember it in college. I want to say more so since I've graduated, that's when I've experienced it. And overall, I want to say I note, and if it's really, crazy, I will call it out. But for the most part, I just try to get better. And then people see me get better. And that's just, of course, they're going to hate. People see me get better, and that's all I want to do. I just want to get better. And I think that's my, I don't say revenge, but that's my way of saying, you thought I couldn't do it, but watch me. That's how I handle microaggressions. I'll say, I just get better.
I love it. I love that. I'm going to, use it as a mantra. So you're also a Black woman, and, how does it feel to represent also, the African American community? What can we do to kind of, impulse our, Black women to pursue careers in STEM?
Representation. And I think we're definitely making strides, because it's definitely different from when I was younger. Support, representation. I will say there is a moment where, a lot of stuff was happening in the world that was more so like mental trauma. We constantly seeing stuff happen, people getting hurt, groups of, people getting hurt. It's more so like, okay, we know that's happening, acknowledge, support. And then I've had people come to me and say, well, how do I, learn about the situations in your life? I'm like, I tell people, read a book. The books are out there. The history, it's American history. Mm-hmm. I'll say when I went to Tuskegee orientation, we had to read Up From Slavery. It's about Booker T. Washington and how he helped with a farmer, founded Tuskegee University. And I'm like, that book has been around forever. He wrote it. Mm-hmm. So, and you learn so much about, post-slavery, what people have done, not just the horrible things, but you learn about what we've done, the good things. You talk about Juneteenth. A lot of people don't know what Juneteenth is. I didn't even know what Juneteenth was, unfortunately, until I got to college. Like, that is horrible. Everybody should know. I think people now know what it is, but the fact that the American history does not include a lot of that, it's glossed over in the history book, economics and all that stuff. So my advice, if people are like, oh, how can we uplift? Definitely representation. I think we're doing a good job. I think we're getting there. But also, I'll say, go read a book. Go read the history. Go read the manuscripts. Go research. Like, how it's almost like, how did you not know? Like, you read the book, they out there. The information's always been there. Just like how I had to learn about American history, and there's this Revolutionary War, Independence Day, all that history. There's more history than what we're just presented with when we were younger. So I would say go research it, because I can tell you things, but I can tell you more of what to read. So I advise everybody to read Up From Slavery.
Yeah, super important. You're also a volunteer educator. What is one thing you wish schools did more to encourage young girls and boys to pursue careers in STEM?
Oh man, you know what? And that's a complex question, because it's not the educate. I work with so many teachers from different states, and I've talked to different people from that work with teachers. It's not always the teachers itself, it's the system. Mm-hmm. It's the system of education. Because a teacher told me she has to stand in the classroom. She may get a bathroom break. She may get, sometimes to grab some food to eat, and she has only a certain amount of time to get through each lesson, depending on the teacher, and they can't go back. So one thing that I've noticed or when talking to teachers, if a child doesn't understand something previously, they go to the next grade for whatever reason, a lot of times teachers don't have time to go back and reteach it. They have to keep going, and they only have a certain amount of time. So they have to fit. They try to incorporate science into it. They have to fit the science into the math. So I just took a lot of teacher workshops help teachers build on that. I will say principals and the Board of Education should invest in their teachers to get to incorporate STEM into a lot of their lessons. So you can incorporate STEM into your socioeconomic courses. You can incorporate sciences into your math courses, because you can do math, but also measure, do physics. You can have physics and math in the same course, in the same lesson. I do encourage that, and I understand there's only so much time in a day, so they're trying to get it in there. But I do think that's how we get the STEM into the classes, and then the students, because of exposure to STEM and the excitement of it, they will in turn, pursue more STEM degrees and careers.
Yeah. You said you love incorporating the arts in science. Can you give us examples of projects you have worked on to achieve this?
So one lesson plan I did, I work at the Museum of Aviation in here. And there was a class, I never got to teach it, and I'm actually still wanting to teach it. We call it Physics in Motion. It was for second graders. I love working with my second graders. And I was going to basically talk about, the laws of physics, but with dance. So, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We was going to do some dance. I was going to have the big ball that the kids can play with. And we were going to just talk about that and friction and all that stuff. So that was one thing. So you're dancing, but you also learn physics. Another thing that I've been really interested in trying to do is production. So I had a little thing that I started called Quick Fundamentals. And I talked about the different states of matter, and with water, ice, and gas. So I have a little video. It's out there. I'm thinking of posting it back on my YouTube channel.
Yes.
But yeah, and I actually wanted to do a series of things called Quick Fundamentals. The other thing, the next one I was going to do was statistics. Everybody's afraid of statistics. I tutor people in statistics. I tutor adults mainly in statistics, because they're like, what is this? Reject the null and all this stuff. I was like, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's how it's explained. And I enjoy acting, and I'm really I have a lot of energy, because one, I work with little kids, so you can't be like, so this is how it works. You have to be
make it exciting.
So that's how I incorporate it. I try to do productions, acting. I try to, dance, because that's what I did dance in college. Haven't done the singing thing, because I think I've just gone away from that, but you never know. I might do that for some type of lesson in I don't know, periodic table or something. I don't know. So I try to, I'm not necessarily an artist. Like, I can't draw. I can draw stick figures. That's all I got. But I can take a good picture. And I have something on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it. It was like a little comic book series that I did.
Yes. I enjoyed looking at those.
All it was me taking a picture with an emoji. And so I'm telling a story with these characters. I know how to edit, video and stuff. And actually, I incorporate science. There's a little computer science in there too. I think one of the last episodes, it's on YouTube, that show hey, can you crack the code? But it's the old school ones and zeros, like how they did A, B, C, old school. And it's just kind of like an introduction. Like, I've snuck some science in there for you. But yeah, that's how I do it. I want it to be fun. Science isn't scary. Math isn't scary. It's fun. And there's different ways to explore and experience it.
Yes, you can definitely kind of explore your creativity side too with it. I mean, that doesn't mean, you're in science, but that doesn't mean you don't get to explore other areas, right? The arts. There's always a way to mix, to combine both interests, definitely.
Oh, awesome. Actually, I have to add this. For the Project PoSSUM, when we did the microgravity, I put lipstick on in microgravity. Part of my research was the cognitive ability of you to process information, whether through your eyes or, task saturation in microgravity. It was 20 seconds, but constant 20 seconds, it was enough to kind of get some information. So basically, when microgravity, I put lipstick on just to see, because eventually, if we're going to have commercial space flight, you're gonna want to be cute, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm just, some people will, some people won't, and I think however you express yourself, whether you wear makeup or you don't wear makeup, it does not matter. You all can experience science and be a part of STEM, and it can be fun.
Awesome. I love that. So you're a very busy woman. What does a day in the life of Shayla look like?
Well, with my 3 kids, I wake up. I just had a baby. She's 5 months, so I'm still nervous.
Oh.
So that's like a big thing for me. Like I decided to. I know I don't have to, but I decided I'm gonna go for a year. So that making milk. That's science. Making milk, making sure she's fed, making sure my girls are dressed ready, and doing hair, make sure my house is still in order, going to work, coming home, doing my extracurricular, which is like Project PoSSUM, developing lessons, recording videos, and then making sure dinner's good and going to sleep and doing it all over. So no day is exactly like the other.
What do you do on the side to kind of, relax or explore mindfulness, I guess, and help you, cope with the stress of your career?
Right. So I say self-maintenance. I like to get my hair done. I like to get my nails done. These are science too, actually.
I love it. That's super cool.
I like to, some people ask like, what's that? I'm like, well, let me tell you about the periodic table. That's how I slide science in there.
Yeah, you slide.
I love it. I like to get my nails done. Like I like my personal maintenance, self-care maintenance. I pray a lot. I read Bible. That's just my spiritual growth. My spiritual walk is very important. I like nice things. I like to be cute. That's just that's me. And cute is defined by how everybody. Some people are cute without makeup. People are cute with makeup. I like a little bit of extra flair. That's just what I do. So that's fun to me. I like spending time with my family, of course. That is, and even when I'm to myself, I have just started trying to just have quiet time. I have to have like my 10 minutes of just, the flute playing, and I'm just quiet. That helps me for what you said, mindfulness, and get started on the day. So I have my stressless time.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's next for you? What are you trying to do, or do you wish to accomplish in the next 5-10 years?
So astronaut, no.
I'm going to space.
I'm going to space. No. Things have obviously changed, having a family. Like I love that. I love being a mom. And I still love space. So I love being a mom. I want more, I want a big family. I want to continue to I want to be an example to my girls to say, hey, you can have a family and you can pursue whatever dream you want to pursue. So I'm continuing to work with, I am the science educator. I'm the education program at IIAS, the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences, which helps facilitate Project PoSSUM Citizen Science. And so I'm going to continue to grow that program. Hopefully we'll have where people can get their master's or, bachelor's degree with that university. I want to continue to work with Project PoSSUM to, get my applied astronautic certificate and just build my credentials in this realm of astronautics and space. I plan on continuing to do my space, reaching space. That's where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get there. It's exciting. And also taking care of the planet that we're on now, that I could plan on trying to incorporate some form of recycling or, citizen science with my own nonprofit, STEAM Unlimited, along with supporting teachers. I want to support teachers. I want to support students. I want to support people, educators, doesn't matter who, to give them the tools to help provide the best education for whatever students they have, no matter their background. And, understand we're here on this planet. We have to take care of this planet. And we can also explore, the universe around us. Yeah. So that's where I plan on continuing.
I love it. Speaking of, being an example for young kids, what would you tell a girl or a boy who wants to pursue your career? Where can they start?
Where can they start? Okay, I would say math. I'm like, get on that math. That's that's the biggest thing. I would say figure out what you like to do. There's so many, I say astronaut, but there's a lot of people that are a part of that astronaut program. Like you have ground control, you have people that do the suit facility. Figure out what it is you like to do.
Right.
you like to, do research and sciences in space, or do you like to be on the ground and communicate? Or do you like to, draw and art? There's a lot of that as well. Art is becoming more and more a part of that community. So what is it you like to do? So many options. Do you like to build? Are you that, for that matter? So I would say first, figure out what you like to do, get really good at math, and then go from there.
Awesome. I love it, Shayla. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I had so much fun, and I wish I could just take you out for coffee and keep picking on your brain. picking your brain. Thank you for listening to this episode. You liked what you heard? Tell me what you liked in the review section, and if you want more episodes like this, please share your suggestions. After this episode, I invite you to follow the Invernadero Mind Podcast Facebook page, where you'll be able to find show notes, resources, and other information about this episode. I can't wait to see you there.